ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the beautiful town of Šibenik, and I'll show you a few most important, most beautiful bits and pieces here in the Šibenik medieval part of town, of course, and a part of a cathedral where was it, old part of a town, and a beautiful fortress of St. Michael, who is also protector of town of Šibenik.
Now, I know that the cathedral is one of your most prized possessions, and we just heard the bells ringing, but I remember last time I was here, there's a very interesting story about the bell.
It's very, very interesting story, because in medieval time, we had a big problems with the Turks that actually often attacked the Šibenik itself as a town, but they never entered in the town. But all the money that was collected to build cathedral and of course bell tower were for the bell tower they used for reinforcement of fortresses. So now this bell that we hear is taped from St. Mark's Cathedral in Venice.
Oh, really? And so really
we have just a small bell in the front here.
Oh, yeah,
it's
no
bell
tower.
It's
so
not
that's really
bell
fake
tower,
one that we just heard.
And it's not the bells, but a very, very strong and nice bells taped from St. Mark's Cathedral, as I said, in Venice.
Now, would you consider this to be the main plaza here in Šibenik?
This is most important. This was a most important square in medieval time. Everything that was going on in everyday life, in political life, was pronounced from this balcony of a town hall right in the front of us, because at that time, of course, we didn't have television, we didn't have newspapers, we didn't have a radio. So gentleman would step up there, mayor of the town, and he would announce everything that was going on, as I said, in everyday life and in political life in the medieval time in Šibenik.
Can you tell us what the statue is?
A statue is put here in 1966. It doesn't date really from a Middle Age, but it shows Ivan Meštrović made George of Dalmatia, main master and main sculptor that is responsible for the cathedral as it is today, in a major part, because of course he didn't live for 100 years. So artists that took his work over after he died, they followed his designs and added something new. And Ivan Meštrović, very famous Croatian artist, he presumed and he thought that would be a most beautiful place to put a statue here to show that from this point George of Dalmatia was checking out a work that was going on the cathedral.
And I know that many refer to the cathedral as the Pearl of the Adriatic, and it's famous for its stone and architecture. Can we go take a look inside to see it?
Of course we can. Just follow me. This is a side entrance, but we are now going to enter through the main entrance.
Super. What do you guys think? Pretty amazing, right?
It's very Gothic.
Yeah.
But it's still very, very well illuminated. Very light, not dark as some other churches I've seen.
Maybe you could tell us how it was constructed.
Of course, it's very, very interesting way they constructed it in a medieval time. It's constructed out of stone, completely out of stone, a local stone around this area, and without using any plaster whatsoever. So these blocks of stones are put one into the other, like this. One part of a block had a hole, the other one points, and that was put one into the other, and it's made, constructed in that way. Later on it was reinforced with a metal here, but altogether is leaned on 12 columns, 6 on each side. So it's really a very rare way of construction and a technique used in medieval time.
I think it's also important to mention it took, what, 100 years to
Of course, it
finish
took 100 years to finish to build cathedrals. So we started in 1436 and took over 100 years. The reason for that is because we had a big problems with Turks that usually very often attacked the Šibenik. So for construction of a cathedral we needed the money, of course, and money gathered for the cathedral was used to reinforce town walls and the fortresses. For that reason we have two different styles. It's mainly Floro Gothic and Renaissance.
Can I ask about the stained glass window? I love stained glass. Is that also from the 14th century?
No, it's of course renewed, but it is originally made like this. It's a beautiful rosette,
Yes.
and when the sun sets, it comes through that glass. Comes to the 1,000 different colors, and the shades here in the cathedral is absolutely fantastic to see.
What sort of restoration are you guys doing here?
Well, it has been, because this cathedral is built on a rock.
Yes.
And of course, obviously there are movements on the ground.
Yeah.
So first of all, they are all measured. Also is measured humidity. And now I think they are in a phase of restoring and cleaning a little bit, because it has been cleaned for ages. And
It kind of gives it a nice character too, even
Yes.
just seeing the original.
yeah, and it's beautiful, very acoustic, and here we have fantastic concerts in a cappella concerts in the summertime or in the winter, of course, depending. This cupola was damaged during a war in 1991, and you can see these white parts. These parts are renewed, and it was very, very difficult job because nobody knew in which way this cupola was constructed. So they had to put it up apart, all together. They then saw which technique was used. Then they took a stone which is original from this area. They left it to mature and they put it up together. It was a work of took a few years, but it had to be really made it properly.
Do you know the height? Yeah, that's also.
It's a 31 meter. It's a 31 meter with a cupola, and all together cathedral is along 38 meters, and it's constructed in the shape of a Latin cross.
Vanja, can you tell us a little bit about these heads? I know it's a pretty
Of course,
funny yet kind of interesting
pleasure.
story.
Well, it's very, very interesting. It's interesting, first of all, because in medieval time, just a face of a saints were shown, really, not everyday people, not the people that lived in an area. So George of Dalmatia really was very, very modern in a way, and he immortalized people that lived in Šibenik at the time when cathedral was built. And you can see that they were coming from all over the places, and you can see that by the way they're wearing scarves, by their hats, their faces. On some faces you can see this prominent cheekbones, which is not characteristic from this area, and you can see also some eyes like the Asians or from other countries. Of course, people were coming here for the trade. People were coming here to work on the cathedral, because not Master George of Dalmatia could do everything by himself, or lots of workshops were opened here. A lot of people came from inland, and also you can see children that at that time they were very young when they started to work. And another thing which is very, very interesting is that neither one face looks at each other. You can see they all look in their own direction.
They're all different.
As
That's what's
if
so cool.
Master wanted to say that everybody minded their own business. You can see they don't look at each other whatsoever. This one goes that way, and this one goes that way. That one goes right in the front. This one, you see, there are 71 heads and 3 lion heads in a corner. And lion was used very often in Venetian time because it showed off a strength of Venetian Republic.
And one of my favorite things in Šibenik is right there. The 24-hour clock.
Yeah,
Everyone
it's
look
fantastic.
at it.
It
Isn't that
shows,
cool?
yes. I have to mention to you that we have 27 churches here.
Yes.
And among them, of course, they're not all in use, but among them it's this beautiful St. Barbara's Church, and it's very interesting watch that shows 24 hours in a Roman numbering. Of course, mechanism today is a new one, but it's very interesting to see that it still shows.
I couldn't really tell you what time it was necessarily, but it's
yeah, it shows
Takes another
exact.
minute.
Yes, it's very, very interesting, and it's very, very. I would say not the only one, but quite rare.
very unique. Very
unique.
Well, I think it's interesting to maybe you can explain us. Like the churches are really close to each other.
Yeah.
So, was there any? What's the idea behind this? You know, building so many churches so close.
You see. This area was very turbulent. We were for so many years under Venetian Republic, and Ottoman Empire controlled very near part of inland, let's say about 50 kilometers far from here, Knin and surroundings, and the Krka River. And they often, as I said before, attacked the Šibenik. But to prevent them penetrate, it's a different religion.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's
I was just gonna
constructed.
say, why aren't
That's
there
it.
mosques around,
It's always
you know?
yes.
It's like today,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
same thing happens
Yeah.
today.
Well, it was in a Skradin. In a Skradin, it was first of all Roman Catholic Church, very old one. Then Turks they pulled it down. They built the mosque, and then again Venetian they pulled it up. And they built a church. You see, it's everywhere like this. If you have a look at the history, it's something different altogether than it is now. And with all these wars, people were, of course, immigrated and moving around. So it's really very, very interesting, history in this time of this part.
Well, let's take a walk down the main street.
Yes, of course.